Good evening. So I will start first of all making a short prayer, and in the session before we did it also, and it doesn't matter for me where I go, in which context I am. I always like to start with this prayer because it's extremely important in Buddhism, and I follow this very much, which is to cultivate gratitude. And if there is anything that I can share with you, if there is anything that I can explain, it's because someone has taught me. So I'm very grateful to those that have taught me, and based on that, I will just start with this very short prayer. Okay, the first part of the prayer is in Sanskrit. The second part of the prayer, the first part is in Tibetan, the second part is in Sanskrit. Okay? Locho sampo bagyo rashi pa tuche tempe trile yamoda ege dolor sampe ze parche palde lame shabla solvade omo a guru vajradara sumatimo nisha same karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Om Hakyuke Kudan Nagiru Hakyuke Sundan Nagina Hakyuke Tudan Nagi Tenyerme Chikto Jingi Makyuke kudan nagilu, makyuke sudan nagina, makyuke tudan nagi, tenyerme chikto jingilo. Omo muni muni maha muni shakya. First of all, for me, it's a great pleasure to be here. As Rohir was telling, is I think the third time that we meet here in this context outside of the Congress. And since the first time for me, it was the feeling like meeting with friends, because friends of friends are friends. No? So this was the first, I always had this sensation. And for me, it's really a pleasure to be here, and I'll try to share a little bit with you of my little understanding based on what I have studied and some experience, and sometimes try to put in a simple way what maybe for me was not so simple to understand. But this is, I think, one of the most beautiful things that we can do, is try to help others to understand things in a simple way. First of all, I think that meditation is not for some people, or it's not something related specifically to religion. I think meditation is like a need more than a choice. Like in the same way, what would you say nowadays about physical exercise? Is it a choice or is it a need? If we don't move, we get more sick. We need to move, and we need to move in the right way, because the body gets used. No? So if we don't do any exercise, I am not a very good person related to exercise, I tell you. But I know the importance of using the body, moving the body in the right way. It's very important. That's why even nowadays everywhere we have all these gyms, a place where people go to exercise and doing the morning jogging and walking and all of this. That's wonderful. But we are not made only of a body. We also have a mind. And our mind also needs exercising. It also needs to be trained. It also needs to be shaped and also needs to be taken care of. This is actually a very important aspect that very often we forget, or we are not aware, or we don't take much care in that sense. No? I have some sort of a dream. The word dream is not the right word, but I like to imagine the day that before it was quite normal, people needed to move much more than we need nowadays, so there were no gyms existed. I think in the time of our grandparents and before, there were no gyms, right? Because people moved by nature, like people needed to walk up and down and carry weights, and it was much more normal to do all the movements, so there was no so much necessity for the gyms, which, sincerely speaking, is quite funny. I haven't seen anyone around here in Amsterdam today walking around, but like in São Paulo, where I come from, very often you see these gyms with the glass wall, and all the people running. It's like many people running, going nowhere. No? It's some sort of metaphor of the world we live in nowadays. You run, and you don't know where you are going to. So I have somehow the idea, it would be nice if one day we have the gyms for the mind. No? You go in and you do 1 hour exercise for concentration, and the next day, next day I will change exercise. I will do some exercise for compassion, or for more patience, or whatever, you know. It's like to do the exercise for the mind. The fact is our mind needs to be exercised. And it needs in the sense that our own state of health, physical, depends on the health of our mind also. Body and mind are directly connected. One of the congresses that we came one time, I remember we were there before the actual conference. There was a moment I was together with Lama Michel, my teacher, and there was one psychiatrist, I don't remember who it was really. And we were having a talk. It's like these situations which sometimes is not so comfortable, in the sense that it's a little formal and you don't know really the person, then you cannot just stay looking at each other, so somehow you need to find something to talk about. So Lama Michel asked him, tell me a little bit about what you do, and he was saying, I'm a psychiatrist, and Lama Michel asked him, well, tell me the story of psychiatry. Where did it start, what it is, and how it is, and so on. So he was telling very nicely. And at a certain point, sorry I don't remember the details about, many of you sure know much better than me, when he said until a certain time, the body and the mind were seen as two separate things. And then after a certain point, they were seen as connected. And it was not so long ago, right? More or less, you know, maybe somebody has this information, I don't remember. But like 50 years ago, no longer than that, I think. And Lama Michel was looking, and he was, I can say, oh, Buddha was saying that since 2,500 years. For us, it's the most natural thing that body and mind always goes together. Actually, body and mind, like in the Buddhist teachings it says, body and mind are always together. You can see that because when you feel sad, tears comes out of your eyes. When our emotions, it reacts in our body. And in the same way, the body reacts also in the mind. Okay, so body and mind are always together. But the problem is that we cannot only take care of the body. We need also to take care of the mind. So how do we do that? This is one important question. I think there are many ways how we can help to take care of the mind. But one important thing also is to understand, where do I want to take my mind? To which state? In meditation, it is very important to understand why I am meditating. Okay? Where do I want to reach? And if we start from a very more simple way, the first objective would be to have a healthy mind. If we want to go more deeper, there are many other objectives, such as developing deep wisdom, and developing deep compassion, which is like beyond having a healthy mind. Like one time, my mother is a psychologist, and very happily we have a relation in which we are very good friends, and when we talk mostly about like philosophy or Buddhism, and very rarely we talk just about things of life, like, okay, what happened to family or things like that. We feel bored with that. So normally we don't talk much about these things. And one time we were discussing about the differences. My mother was saying, what's the difference between a Lama and a psychologist? And then, because sometimes it doesn't look so much different, mainly because the attitude that people in the West have towards Lamas is mostly bringing their personal problems and frustrations and things and trying to find a solution out of that. So somehow it's the function of a psychologist. But then we were talking and thinking, and we got to the conclusion that the objective, and the question came together with what's the difference between psychology and Buddhism? Was one of the questions also. And then we got to the following conclusion. Psychology, and for that the function of a psychologist, is to help the person to overcome his conflicts and difficulties and sufferings of the mind, and bring the person to a state of mental health and mental stability. That's the objective. In a moment that the person is mentally healthy, there is no more need to go to the psychologist, basically. Okay? In Buddhism, the objective is, once you are in a mental healthy state, that's where you start. That's where you start to develop your qualities even more. That means to develop love and compassion in a way that is not common, like really in a great way, loving everyone. To developing great wisdom and generosity and concentration and strength, and develop one's own qualities even more. That's the objective that goes beyond. Okay. So, when we talk about why we meditate, first step is to have a healthy mind. But there are many things that we can do in order to have a healthy mind. Okay, and are important. But even before we talk about that, it's important to understand what a healthy mind is. Because when we talk about exercising the body, we have some idea what a healthy body is, right? More or less, I believe. I'm not sure if we really have a good idea, at least for myself. But some idea is there. Okay. I don't think I have any real good understanding of the body. If I really had a good understanding of the body, I would have no need to go to the doctor, because the body is telling us everything. But we don't know how to read the messages coming from the body, right? That's why we need to go to the doctor. And the doctor will say, okay, they have this message means this part of the body is not functioning well. Why? Because you are having that behavior which is not correct, and this and that, and so on. So normally the function, for me, a doctor is someone that knows how to read the body and the messages that the body is giving. Okay? If we really knew well our body, we had no need for a doctor. We could just read the messages that the body is giving to us. That's why pain is precious. Because pain is like an alarm which is coming out and saying, look, there is something wrong here. Okay? And based on the symptoms, we can know what are the sicknesses, and then we can avoid the causes, and then we can take care of healing or taking care of medicine or whatever is necessary. The mind also has symptoms that manifest. The symptoms of the mind is basically suffering, anxiety, sadness. Most of all, we could say that it's suffering, insatisfaction. Many of them are symptoms in the mind. When we feel uncomfortable within ourselves, when there is something that is not okay, it doesn't matter what we do. And maybe we have some bad feeling, a bad emotion, bad sensation inside that is coming back again and again. It doesn't matter where we go, what we do, and somehow these things are coming back. These are symptoms that we have. So we need to understand where they are coming from. and what's the treatment that somehow we can do. Okay? So based on this, there are many things that we can do in order to have a healthy mind. Eating correctly, doing exercise, all this is good because the body and the mind are connected. The simple fact of sitting in the right position is already helping the mind to be more clear. Or the fact of breathing correctly already makes a big step onwards of having a healthy mind. You know? Just one example is like, try to breathe slowly and think fast. Yeah, try it. Okay, then let's try the opposite. Breathe quickly and think slowly. It's difficult, right? I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's difficult. So the way how we breathe is actually like the metronome, giving the time for our mind, for our thoughts. If we breathe correctly, in a more deeper way, drinking the air below our navel, and breathing more calmly, and so on, all of this already helps the mind to be more healthy. Okay? So, this is one part that is very helpful. Then, there are many things that helps to have a healthy mind. Be with people that we feel we get along well. The fact of sharing nice things with other people, with friends, having people that we can trust, living in a healthy environment. No, it's not for any reason that in all the spiritual traditions, you never heard about, I never heard about a great practitioner that reached the higher levels of spiritual development in the middle of a big city. Where did it always happen? In the desert, in the forest, in the mountains. So environment has a crucial aspect also on the mental health, or on our inner state. To be in a pure environment, free from pollution, it's also very important actually. I remember when I went one time to the Amazon forest. We did a small retreat. We had once a week on a boat, like 30 people sleeping on a boat, and everyone sleeping in hammocks. And then we were going in the Amazon River, and in the morning we started with meditation at sunrise, and then we were doing teachings during the day. We could not do so much because the engine was quite noisy of the boat. But anyhow, we would stop from time to time every day to go around and swim in some place extremely beautiful. But the most interesting thing is that as the days were passing and we were going more and more into the part of the forest where you had no artificial light, no any signal from any radio or a cell phone or anything like that, no other distractions and so on. I saw it in myself, but many people commented it the same way. The mind just got more and more peaceful, and more satisfied and happy. The physical conditions were not so easy. Imagine 40 people used to live in the luxurious way of the West, in one boat with one toilet. Then you could only flush when the boat was running. So, I don't need to go into many more details. And people in the beginning, they thought, oh, how are we going to manage to stay here 6 days? That's going to be impossible. And when it finished, nobody wanted to go away. Okay? So being in a pure environment changes. We are influenced by the environment also. Okay? That's why normally people will go to meditate in the caves in the middle of the big mountains or in the forests and so on. Because it influences the mind. So the environment in which we are is important. That's why when learning how to meditate, the first thing, or better, when preparing for our meditation, one of the first things that it said is prepare the place where you meditate. Because we are influenced by it. We are all influenced by everything that is around us. So there is also environment. So there are different things that we need to take care in order to have a healthy mind. The lifestyle that we have, how much we sleep, how do we sleep, the way how we eat, the place where we live. Many things are important also for our mental health, okay? But once we try all of this and it's wonderful, it's not enough. Only to live with, let's say, to have a mental health, I think it's possible to do it without meditation. But meditation is a very, very powerful tool to help us to have a more healthy mind, happy, satisfied mind. And most of all, meditation is a tool to develop our inner qualities. That's the true meaning of the word meditation. I don't know in English, sincerely, from Latin, where it comes from, where it means, what's the etymology of the word meditation. When I say the true meaning, I'm thinking in the word in Tibetan, which is gom. In Tibetan, meditation is called gom. Spell it sagadagana goma gom. That is. But the word gom in Tibetan, it means basically to familiarize, to train, to get used to something. And the word is written in two ways, gom and kom. The difference is that we could say is to familiarize and to have familiarized, to train and to be trained. Okay? There's a moment in which I am training, and then there's a moment in which I don't need to train anymore because it comes spontaneously. I'm already trained in it. It's like when I am learning how to drive, and then at a certain point I don't need to learn anymore. It already comes spontaneously. The word meditation is in the process of learning, training. And what's the objective? To be trained, to be familiarized. You will reach the state of being familiarized when it comes spontaneously. There is one very important thing when you talk about meditation. We always should meditate on something. The subject today, it came about because some months ago I was giving some teachings on a Buddhist text called The Questions, Wholesome Questions and Answers, when great master of the 13th century, 13th or 14th century, Lama Michel he wrote one text of questions about Buddhism. And there is a whole part about meditation. And then later when great master gave the answers. So I was explaining this text, and Rohir was there. And there is a whole part about mindfulness, and about what is mindfulness, what is meditation. So he said, oh, that's so nice, maybe we need to share a little bit more of that. Because one point which is, for me, this is my personal point of view, and because I like to say that, because please don't take it as something that necessarily is right, it could be wrong very easily, but what I feel is that nowadays we talk a lot about meditation. I don't know if a lot, but much more than before. And there is an attitude, two attitudes which I don't feel so comfortable. One attitude is that it's a classical attitude from the Western world, which is we make research on something, then we think we have discovered it. So it looks like suddenly we have discovered that meditation is good, and we're like, there we are. And somehow we're taking meditation out of its original context. But what is happening is that, which in one way is wonderful, I'm so happy to see all these people with applications for meditation on the telephone and doing different types of meditation and mindfulness, everybody talking about the benefits of mindfulness and applying in the hospitals and in the schools and universities. It's wonderful. I'm really happy for that. But what makes me a little bit uncomfortable sometimes is because I have the sensation that often is like minimizing what actually meditation means, simplifying it too much and taking it out of its original context. Okay. So what I feel is that mostly when we talk about meditation, people are talking about the meditative state and seeing meditation as a goal and not as a tool as it is. Okay. So the meditative state is a wonderful state. And normally, whenever we listen to people talking about the benefits of meditation, mostly we are talking about the side effects of meditation, not the objective of meditation. When you talk about the benefits for the body, and okay, it's good for the heart, it's good for the blood pressure, it's good for many different things. Okay, I never went through much of this because for me this is just a side effect, it's not the objective, so I never really thought much in that direction. But mostly when people talk about the benefits of meditation, it's like bringing calm to the self, we feel more calm and more satisfied, and it helps for the body and everything. This is just a side effect, positive side effect of meditation. It's not the reason why meditation was taught for centuries and centuries. Okay? So this is the result of entering into the meditative state. It's a state of relaxation. It's a state in which the mind is able to fully concentrate into one object. Meditation always must have an object of meditation. Some people may say that meditation is just to empty the mind. That's not correct. Meditation is like we need to empty the mind from the distractions, but relaxing the mind into one object. This object can be our breath. It can be one little dot in the wall, or it can be more deep things also. Okay? But normally we need to choose one object, and we need to rest the mind into that object. So if we look outside of the context of meditation, our mind is represented a little bit like a monkey on a tree. I don't know if you have ever seen much monkeys. I don't think in Holland walking around you don't see monkeys, right? Okay, in India, yes. And these teachings were given originally in India, and it's quite normal to see monkeys jumping around, okay? And when you see monkeys, the interesting thing is very difficultly you will see a monkey on the tree, very calmly, not moving around. The monkey, whenever you see the monkey, is always jumping from one branch to the other, up and down and going here and there, quite agitated, okay? So our mind normally is like a monkey on a tree, because it's jumping from one object of perception to another. We are thinking about the dinner, then we come back to listen to the Lama, then we are going to here, and then we think about this, and then we go to that, and we are going up and down, and the mind is always jumping around. So, one of the first things in meditation is important. We need to be able to meditate. We need to bring the mind to a state of calm. And then we choose one object of meditation, which normally we start, for example, with our own breath, or we choose one image, and then we focus on that object and we rest the mind in that object. The state of meditation, the state of concentration, is not a state of tense. It's not a tense state, it's a relaxed state. Normally when we think of concentration, very often we imagine someone like this, no? Concentrated. Like putting the whole energy for trying to focus somewhere. Actually, the concentrated state is a state of relaxation, where we are able to rest and relax the mind from the distractions. Okay. Making one example, trying to make it more easy to understand. When we read a good book, okay, and we are reading a really nice book, there is a moment in which we are reading the book, and what happens is that we don't feel anymore the paper. We don't see anymore how many pages are going. We don't have the perception of what is happening around. We even don't perceive that we are reading words. We just enter into the story or into the subject. And there is nothing more than that story or that subject that we are into. I think we all have already experienced that, right? This is concentration. And we relaxed our mind fully on the subject of the book. Sometimes when we listen to someone, or we listen to music, or we watch a movie, or we look at nature, or anything, we can be experiencing the taste of a food, or drinking wine, I don't know, whatever. There are moments in which we are able fully to relax at one specific object of our senses. And we enter into it, and all the rest fades away. This is one example of relaxing the mind into one object. So when we meditate, it's similar to that. It's important to understand and to find out this aspect. It's not only meditation, we need to find in other things. One time I was talking about meditation and the importance of being present at the present moment to a group of, I don't know how to say that in English, soccer team. It's like the guy that they in Brazil, it was organized by the Ministry of Sport, and were like 150 people. They were all these men responsible for the organized, like the hooligan for the soccer teams. No? And I was talking to them, and then suddenly one of the guys said, yes, I understand. It's like when playing soccer. When you are playing soccer, and then suddenly if you lose the concentration from the ball, someone else takes the ball away. If your mind goes to something else, then you are not anymore there. You need to be fully present. Exactly. So the fact is that to be fully present in what we do, this can happen in many other situations also, but it is also needed in meditation. It's just one part. So we need to be fully present in what we are doing. Okay? So we choose one object and we fully rest our mind in it. The first steps of meditation, that was mostly what is mostly taught. Like very often what we see is not the ABC of meditation, it's the A. Okay? It's the very beginning. It's just to learn how to focus the mind, how to be free from distraction, how to relax the mind into one object. That's the first step. Once we learn that, then we need to change objects of meditation, choose the right objects, and then we go deeper and deeper. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that. But first thing is concentrate well, which means rest the mind into one object. When we try to meditate in the beginning, try because we're not right away entering into meditative state, we have some difficulties, basically two main difficulties, which is the rigidity of the body and the rigidity of the mind. The word rigidity is the inability to let our body relax in what we are doing at that moment and to let our mind relax in it. Okay? So if we sit down in a position, actually meditation has a specific position to meditate. It has been tested for more than 3,000-4,000 years at least, so it's nothing new to discover. And it's really, people have been meditating for such a long time, and there were some meditators doing it in a different way. For example, there was one meditator, he was trying to meditate his whole life in the right position, and he was never getting it. Then his teacher said to him, maybe you need to try different. He would say, go upside down, with the head down and the foot up. And in this way he could meditate very well. And it was because something in his body was upside down. And I met a person that had a sickness that the organs are upside down. And maybe he had something like that, who knows? The fact is that the teacher said some people, because of the constitution of the body, they may need a different position. Okay, but most of us, we are quite similar. So the position of meditation works for most people. Normally, the position of meditation, the important thing is first to have, the most important thing is to have our back straight. Okay, because body and mind are connected, as we said before. And if we put our back like this, curved, our mind will feel more sleepy and foggy. Okay, so because of that, we have no clear, mind is not clear, it's a little bit more unclear. So because of that, it's important to sit with the back straight. And normally, okay, there's the positions of legs and arms and so on, but the most important thing is sitting with the back straight, the shoulders relaxed, the mouth relaxed, the eyes slightly closed, not completely closed, otherwise we fall asleep. Slightly closed. And to be aware of our breath. Also, that we need to breathe in a conscious way. Especially, okay? Slowly, slowly we bring our breath to a deeper level. When we start doing that physically, is it easy to stay in this fixed position without moving any part of our body for some time? Or after some time we start, something here and something here, and we need to move, and then we get pain here, and then we get pain there, and then there is something here and there. In the beginning, that's what happens, no? I think I had a good description. A friend, disciple, in the beginning when she started to learn how to meditate, she told me, when I sat in the beginning to meditate, I had a sensation like if inside there were the nails on the blackboard. Going on, and like, I needed to move, I needed to do something, okay? This is because we still have strong rigidity of the body and of the mind. So there is one exercise which I advise you to do if you like to meditate really, which I used to do a lot when I was a kid, and it's quite fun. It's not meditation, huh? It's just an exercise to help to meditate later, okay? It's to break a little bit the rigidity of the body first. Sit down, possibly with the back straight, in a nice position, the hands as you wish, on a chair, or with the crossed legs. I prefer the crossed legs, but this is not necessarily to be like that. And make a commitment. I will not move. And see how long can you stay. The mind, don't care about the mind. This is not meditation. Huh? It's just making an exercise, training the body to be still. And you sit there, and you just let it go. Then at a certain point you will start feeling you need to scratch a little bit at some point, and you don't do it. And after some time it will go away. There is a moment in which we start feeling that the whole body is one. Then you don't feel any more difference from one hand to the other, from one part of the body. Some people have the sensation they're falling back. Some people have different sensations that can come. Until, in the beginning it's difficult, but don't force too much. Then you stop. Then after some time, next day you do again. Or after a few hours, you can do again. And then when you do again, you will see that you will be able to do a little bit more. And always a little bit more, until there is a moment in which there is a threshold, there is a limit. Then when we overpass the threshold, it becomes pleasurable not to move. There is a moment in which we simply sit. It's a little bit difficult. Then when we go beyond that moment, we don't want to move anymore. And we will feel that just by, for example, swallowing the saliva is already a strong movement for us. That's why when meditating it's important to put the tongue at the palate, at the top of our mouth. Because, or otherwise all the saliva starts falling down from the mouth. It's not a real problem, but it's not nice, people around. And the main thing is that, but putting the tongue on the palate also relaxes the body and avoids us from needing to swallow the saliva. Okay? So, first exercise, just sit down and say, I will not move. And see how long can you stay. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The more we do, the more we can do. Okay? If we do this before actually trying to really meditate, because to keep the body still is easier than keeping the mind still. Okay? But if we try to keep the body and the mind still together for the first time, it's even more difficult. So we just start trying physically, and you will see it's pleasurable. Just sit down, and breathing correctly will help. Breathing deeply will help also to keep the mind still, the body still. And by that we start overcome one of the interferences for meditation, which is the physical rigidity. The second part is the mind. So we need to rest the mind into something. So we choose a beautiful image like the sunset or a flower, a tree, the sun, the moon, or simply we concentrate on our breath. We just choose one object of our senses, one object that we concentrate in. And then, as we are sitting in a correct position, first we start being aware of our breath, and then we simply rest the mind into that object. And as we rest the mind into the object, slowly, slowly, we let it be there, we concentrate on it. Any other thoughts that come to our mind, because our mind is used of having many distractions, we don't follow that thought. As it comes, and let it go. We don't grasp at it, we don't name it, we don't judge it, we don't justify it. We simply let it go. And we bring the mind back to our object. Okay? When we are able to do that, with our whatever object, we are meditating. We are learning how to meditate. And this is the first step. Okay? And it's already very beautiful, it's already very powerful, it already brings a lot of benefits. If we simply meditate every day, it brings a lot of benefits for our lives. But what else can we do with meditation? And here comes when we were talking about some deeper aspects of meditation. As we said before, meditation means to familiarize. Okay? And here comes one important aspect, that is, understanding is not enough. How many things we know, but we are not able to apply in our life? One classical example is it good or bad to feel jealous? Bad, I suppose. No answer, but I think it's bad. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's bad. I don't know what you think, but okay. Knowing that it's not good to be jealous, is it enough to avoid jealousy? Knowing that it's not good to get angry, is that enough not to get angry? Knowing that it's good to have to love more others and to be more patient, is it enough really to open our heart? No. Somewhere we have this idea that understanding is enough. I always remember when I was a kid, my father came home one day. It was when he started following Buddhism, and he was so happy. And then he said, now I really found the key for everything. I understood my suffering. Everything is coming from my ignorance, from my anger, from my attachment. Now I have no reason anymore to suffer. He was quite happy. Then a few minutes passed and there he was shouting because of something. So what happened is that to know is not enough. Okay? It's important. I love learning and understanding and studying. I think that it's important. But if knowing is not enough, once we know something, we need to believe in it strongly, understand it, make that knowledge ours, comprehend it, and then we need to train ourselves in it. The first step is to know. So, once we are able to meditate, then we need to use this technique to change the object of meditation. Because whatever is the object of meditation, I get very much acquainted with that object once I meditate in it. Because it means resting the mind into that object and not thinking about anything else. We get very much familiarized with it. Okay? So the object of meditation is important, because that's with what I'm going to get acquainted with. Okay? So let's make one example. Okay, just taking what we were just talking before, anger. I go there and I understand it's not good to get angry. Wonderful, I understood it. I go through, I analyze it, I get to my conclusion, really it's not good to get angry. There is no reason in the world for me to be angry. Okay. What do I do now? I need to meditate on patience. Patience is the ability not to react with anger, not to react with an aggressive way, with violence, in front of an object of anger. So how do I do that? I don't need to familiarize myself with the concept of patience. I need to familiarize myself with the state of patience. So what I need to do? I need to induce myself to the state of patience and then rest my mind into that state and enter the meditative state where the object of meditation is patience itself. How do I do that? First, for example, we start, we breathe it, we sit, we concentrate into state, or like our breath, and we bring our mind into a more concentrated state. Then we go to the whole analytical process of understanding why anger is not good. And this is called analytical meditation. There are two types of meditation. single-pointed meditation, and analytical meditation. Analytical meditation is when we analyze something without letting the mind be taken by other things, but we focus on that subject and we analyze it properly. So this is a very important type of meditation also. So first we do an analytical meditation through which we go through the whole process, why I should not get angry, the faults of anger, the benefits of patience, and we go through the whole process until we get the conclusion, I should not get angry, there's no reason in the world to be angry. Once we get to that conclusion, we let this mind a little bit aside, and then we imagine an object of anger. We imagine a situation where normally we would get angry. Okay? But we really imagine it. And then when we feel that something is moving in our body, that anger is coming and we are somehow, it's coming, then that's when we come with the whole analysis that we did before and say, that's not the right reaction. There is no reason in the world to be angry. So in front of the object of anger, I breathe in, breathe out, and I'm able to have a neutral reaction. I don't need right away to give love, because it's not possible from anger to love. We need to go from anger to indifference. From indifference we can go to love. So first thing, I will not react in front of this situation. And once we are able to be there and we are able to not react in front of the situation, and we enter into that state of patience, which is the state of non-reaction of violence in front of an object of anger, when I'm able to enter into that state, then I remain into that state. That becomes my object of meditation. So I focus my mind into that state, and I remain rested into that state for as long as I can. What am I familiarizing myself with? The state of patience. Okay? It's an experience that I familiarize myself with. It's not knowledge, it's not an understanding. Meditating on love. People think that to meditate on love, it means, okay, let's think about love. No. Do I have now a state that I can love everyone in an unconditional way? No. Most of us, I think I cannot tell for everybody. Normally, who do we love? Those that are nice to us. What happened when someone that we love stopped being nice to us? Most probably we won't love him anymore in the same way as before. Okay? So we have a conditional love. Our love that is conditioned by our own selfishness. By the I and the mind. Anyhow. So for me to open my heart truly towards others, how can I meditate on love? I need to induce myself to the feeling of love, to the emotion of love, and remain single-pointed, concentrated into that emotion. So first I need to induce myself to love. I can do this by visualizing other beings around me and emanating light from my heart and wishing them to be happy and opening my heart. So there is a whole process how I can induce myself through analysis and visualization and so on, until I induce myself to a state when I really open my heart. Is it artificial? Yes. It didn't come out of nothing. I needed to put an effort of it, but it's true, it's not fake. Okay? So I really feel love at that moment, and once I'm able to generate that emotion, generate the true feeling of love, then I stick to it. I concentrate my mind and I don't let it go. I keep my mind fully concentrated on the inner state of love. That's how I meditate on love. Okay. The more I do, the more easy it will be to feel love. I get familiarized with love. Making one example more. How to meditate on wisdom, for instance. One wisdom, that is the wisdom that realizes impermanence. How to meditate on impermanence, the wisdom that realizes impermanence. Or if we say, how do I meditate on impermanence? Oh. No? Like people ask, it's not very often I see people making this question. We say, okay, meditate on impermanence. Then we sit down and we start thinking about impermanence. But after 5 seconds that I've said everything is impermanent, then what? Okay? Basically, it's like this. Reality around us, everything that we can see, touch, smell, and so on, the world around us, Is it permanent or is it impermanent? Is it ever changing or is it solid? It's always changing, right? It's always changing. That's why it's impermanent. Impermanent doesn't mean something that one day will not exist anymore. Impermanent means that is constantly transforming. In Tibetan, the definition is kechik kechik Gelugpa. Kechik means instant, Gelugpa means transform. Kechik kechik, from instant to instant. Gelugpa, that is transforming from instant to instant. That's impermanence, and that's everything that we can perceive is impermanent around us, okay? There are permanent phenomena, but that's something else. We don't need to go into that right now. And actually there are much more permanent phenomena in the existence than impermanent, but this is a completely different thing. So everything that we can perceive with our five senses is impermanent, okay? But when we look to this flower that is here on the table, okay, we can see the flower, no? Leave it there. We can see the flower, okay? And when we look at the flower, and we close our eyes, then we open the eyes again. Before opening the eyes, we look and we think which flower I'm going to see, and we open the eyes and we ask, is it the same flower? Or the paintings in the wall that everybody can see? We look at the painting in the wall, which is a painting, and then we look at the painting, then we close the eyes, we open again, and then we ask, have the paint changed? Was there any change in the painting? No. Okay. Will one day the paint get a little bit darker and older?
Yeah.
Does it happen in an instant? It's like suddenly it gets dark? Or suddenly it gets old? Or is it a process that goes slowly, gradually, instant by instant? It's a gradual process, right? Okay? Like, as we look to each other, has my hair grown a little bit since we have started today? Or my beard? Yes. But can we perceive it? No. So the question is, when we look at a painting, how does it appear to us? As being permanent or as being impermanent? Without philosophizing, without analyzing. It appears to us as being permanent, right? Okay? There's the whole explanation why it happens. Basically, it's because, I'm trying to make it simple, it's because we relate to the object through a mental image. The mental image is permanent. The object is impermanent. Okay? And until the moment that the mental image and the object fit, we cannot perceive change. We can only perceive change when the object doesn't fit anymore with the mental image we have. Okay? So what happens is that when we look at things, when we look even at a person, is there anything that changes more than a person? Not so many, I think. We have a body, we have a mind, we're always interacting, we have changing so much. But when we look to each other and we go to meet again the next day, who do we expect to meet? The same person or a different person? The same person. So when we look at reality around us, how does it appear to us? As being permanent or as being impermanent? As being permanent. That's the ignorance of grasping at permanence. So what happens is that if we stop to think, it's not right. Okay? If we stop to think, we can see that everything is impermanent, everyone is always changing. From when I start talking to now, the paintings have changed. Okay? If we were able to see more and more details, then we could see the changes. The more that our mental image is detailed, the more we can perceive changes, actually. But anyhow, the subject now is not impermanence. We could go on and on about that. The point is the following. How do I meditate on impermanence? I first need to make an analysis to understand, like say, for example, the painting, and I say, okay, the painting is impermanent. Why? Because it depends on cause and conditions, because at every moment that passes, it gets more near to its end. Like, will one day these paintings vanish? Or get destroyed or transformed into something else? Sooner or later? I would say yes. Okay? So every day, it's like everything that is born, everything that starts one beginning. Every moment that passes is more near to its own death. Like us, like everything else. Okay? So if not for other things, every instant that passes, the painting is more near to its end as a painting. Okay? And not only that, physically it's transforming and changing also. Okay? Even though we cannot perceive it with our senses directly. So we analyze it. We go through the whole analysis until we understand, yes, it is impermanent. Then we sit down to meditate, breathe in, breathe out, bring the mind to a state of calm, and so on. And then we take one object, let's say the painting, and we look at it, we imagine it. We don't need to see it physically. We can also only through visualization, we imagine the object. And we let the mind that grasped at it as being permanent to appear. We need to let the object appear as being permanent, how it's normal for us, and our mind that grasps at it, and then we come and we say, that's not correct. That object actually is not permanent. It is actually always changing. It is impermanent. So, you look at it, and once you are able to reach the conclusion it is impermanent, and you take away that mind that grasps at it as being permanent, and you understand it, then you remain on that state as long as possible. Rest the mind into the perception, into the understanding of impermanence. Because there is a very big difference of meditating on the concept of impermanence, okay, and meditating on impermanence in the moment that you perceive that something is impermanent. And there is a very big difference of meditating on impermanence just like that and applying the concept of impermanence on the mind that grasps at permanence. It's like applying the light where is the darkness. Okay? So what happens if I start meditating a lot about impermanence in this way? Slowly, in my daily life, naturally, I will start to see things. Maybe they appear as permanent, but I say, no, that's not how it is. I know it. I have experienced it. I have reflected on it. And then slowly we start to suffer less when things change. And then suddenly something changed, and so what? It's impermanent. That's okay. That's normal. That's natural. Because it's a non-conceptual process. Okay? So, as we can see, one very important point of meditation is the object of meditation. Because what do I want to get my mind acquainted with? And here there is two phrases from one great master of meditation. His name was Milarepa. Milarepa was one of the greatest, most well-known masters of meditation from Tibet. In one of the phrases he said, "Tesa mebe gombani laktum chadzak tabuin," which means to meditate without having listened and comprehended first is just like trying to climb, yes, sorry. It's just like trying to climb. So, to meditate without having listened and comprehended first is just like trying to climb a big rock with one's hands closed. You have nowhere to grasp. In other words, if I need to meditate, if I need to get familiarized with something, I need to know that something first, right? It's like if I say to you, please get familiarized with Sambhogakaya. What is that? Oh, it's a so-called emanation body. No, it's the enjoyment body of a Buddha. Okay, thank you. No, make no difference. That's Sambhogakaya or enjoyment body of a Buddha. It's the same thing finally. If I don't know what it is, how can I get familiarized with it? In order to be able to familiarize ourselves with something, we must know it, we must touch it, we must feel it. If I only know the concept of it, I can only familiarize myself with the concept. If I can experience it, I can familiarize with it in a much deeper level. So first we need to listen, which is learning, understanding. Then we need to comprehend, which is experiencing, making that knowledge ours. Then we can meditate in order to realize, in order to make it spontaneous. And the other verse of Milarepa, which let me see if I remember it in Tibetan. Okay, now it's not coming, but the meaning is to go to meditate on a cave without having received the correct instructions is just more suffering to oneself. To go to live on retreat, on a cave, far away from everything, and pass a life where you don't have much food, the life is more difficult and this and that, and trying to meditate, if you do not have the correct instructions of what to meditate on, it's just more suffering for yourself. Stay at home in the warmth and having a nice food. It's better for you. Okay. So the point is that if I need to familiarize my mind with what? Can meditation be harmful? Yes. Meditate on anger. Imagine. Just generate strong anger, one single pointed concentration on that emotion. I think we already do spontaneously sometimes. But what happens is that it can be harmful in this way. Okay, just make an example of some very harmful meditation that could happen. Intolerance. Try generate a strong mind of intolerance and generate a single pointed concentration on the intolerance and so on. It will just get stronger and stronger. So the object of meditation is very important. Okay? So mindfulness normally is seen as the meditative state, which is the moment in which we bring ourselves to this state of relaxation in one object of meditation. And we rest our mind within it. Free from what we call it mental agitation and mental dullness. Basically, the state of meditation is a state of concentration, of clarity of the mind. When you talk about the clarity of the mind, it means having clarity, which we also call the recollecting mindfulness, which means the object that we meditate is clear. There is one movie which was made some years ago, and it was very bad publicity for meditation. Not very bad publicity, it was a very wrong way of explaining and talking about it. It's called Samsara. I don't know if you have seen. If you have not seen, please don't look at it. If you want to see, look at it, but it's really a bad movie, okay? Anyhow, that's my point of view. The point is that I'm talking it's a bad movie not because the actors are not good and so on, which is also true. But it's basically because conceptually, from the Buddhist point of view, I really didn't like the movie. And the movie starts with a man that is ending a 3 years retreat of meditation, alone in a cave. And then what happens is that when they go to take him out from his retreat, looks like he has been smoking who knows what for 3 years. And he's completely stoned. No? He cannot understand anything. That's not what should happen when someone is meditating. I remember my father once, he went for a retreat of 6 months. Between one thing and another, he was in India, and I was still living in Brazil. And then when he came back from his retreat, he was a period of few retreats, and we were with family in the mountain. It was holiday time, and I was there with my cousins, and we were playing a lot of video games. So after many months outside, he wanted to interact with the children, so he was there playing video game with us. And my father never liked playing video game, but when he sat there playing, he was the best of all of us. So we would start making jokes to him. What meditation were you doing? You were playing video game or what? The fact was that because of doing a lot of meditation in that period, his mind was much more clear and much more concentrated, much more focused. So what you needed to play well video game? Be focused, be concentrated, that's all. So what happened is that A state of meditation is a state of clarity of the mind. One very important thing when we meditate is the clarity that we have with the object of meditation. Okay. One of the obstacles of meditation is what in Tibetan is called chingma. It is translated as mental dullness sometimes, which is the fact that the object is not clear. It's like if we are in the middle of a fog. It's a little foggy, the mind. It's actually pleasurable. That's why it's danger. Because you sit to meditate, you start concentrating in whatever object, and then suddenly the object starts to fade a little bit away, and it's got fog, and you start it's like almost falling asleep, but you are not falling, you're not really sleeping. For me, it's like similar to, it happened to me sometime when you were listening to someone talking, and then you are almost falling asleep, but you are saying to yourself, I'm not falling asleep, I am actually listening. And then suddenly what happens is that you sort of wake up and then you cannot remember anything that was said. It happened to me a few times. You know? When receiving teachings, like we used to have very long teachings, and like the whole day, and there is a certain point that you're too tired or whatever, anyhow. When meditating, this mental dullness is the fact that the object of meditation is not clear. It is a relaxing state. But finally, what do we familiarize ourselves with? With a foggy mind. And that's not our objective. Okay? So this is one of the obstacles of meditation. The other obstacle is the busy mind. It's the mind that is running around and looking for distractions and of the senses and jumping up and down and mostly going through objects of desire and thinking about things and so on. And this is what we call mental agitation. Okay? So, or Gelugpa in Tibetan. These are the two main obstacles for meditation. And the two antidotes for that is what is called recollecting mindfulness and Drenpa Sheshin. I always have difficulty translating these words because all the translations I ever read, I never liked them so much. So Drenpa is normally translated as recollecting mindfulness and Sheshin as awareness. Let's try to understand what is what. Okay? The first antidote, which is a very important part of meditation, called recollecting mindfulness, is to be present in what we are doing and to remember where we are. Okay? Is to keep the mind in the object of meditation. It's like, let's say that I am walking from here to somewhere. Let's say I like to go back to Italy walking. Okay? Or by car. That's more, many Dutch friends do that by car. Let's say I take a car, more real. And I go by car to Italy. So I am in the middle of the way, and then suddenly I see something beautiful, or I like the name of a town, or something. And I say, oh, look, that's how nice. Let's go to see that, because I forget where I want to go. I am aware of what I am doing, but I forget my objective. So what happens is that suddenly I find something else, and I go to another direction, and then suddenly I remember, oh, I need to go to Italy, but where am I? Oh, then I see I am in Germany somewhere. And suddenly when I see, there I am, going up north. Okay? What happened? I forgot where I wanted to go. This is in a very gross level when we don't have recollecting mindfulness. We don't know what we're doing. Did it ever happen for you to go to a room and suddenly you enter the room and you don't know anymore why you were there? Lack of mindfulness. Lack of remembering what I want. What is my object? Okay? So this recollecting mindfulness is very important in meditation because that's what keeps our mind stick with the object of meditation. So it's always important to remember, what am I doing? Where I am going? That's why there are exercises of mindfulness such as being aware as we walk, or being aware of our breath, or being aware of every action that we do. This is like when this one man asked to Buddha, what you and your disciples do? And Buddha answered, we walk, we sit, and we eat. And the man told Buddha, sorry, we all walk, sit, and eat. what's the difference? And Buddha said the difference is that when we walk, we are walking. When we sit, we are sitting. When we eat, we are eating. Okay? So this is mindfulness. This is training in mindfulness. This is being present in what we are doing, which is one of the important aspects of meditation. Okay? It's actually, remember, if we don't have mindfulness, we are not able to meditate really, because we are not able to stick the mind into the object. The other aspect, awareness, is to be aware of what we are doing. I may remember I want to go to Italy, but if while I'm driving I'm not aware that I'm taking a road on the right side, suddenly what happened? I am in the wrong direction. But I remembered I wanted to go to Italy. I said, oh, but I wanted to go to Italy. How come I am here? Because I was not aware of what I was doing. Okay? So, the awareness is like the mind. There is like a guard checking what the mind is doing, basically. So when we meditate, recollecting mindfulness is basically to keep the mind on the object of meditation. While awareness is the mind that is checking the mind and looking, what am I doing? Am I keeping my concentration or not? And when we see that the mind is going the wrong direction, we say, no, come back here. Okay? It's always important to keep the right balance. For example, in the beginning we need more awareness. We need to be more careful because the mind more easily go away. As we go on, we are more able to meditate better, we need to have less and less of this awareness. Because sometimes when we put too much of the awareness, we can lose our concentration because our attention goes into controlling the mind and instead of actually meditating. This can happen also, but this is we're already in a more deeper level. Okay? The point is that when we meditate, the mind should be in a clear state, clear in relation to the object of meditation. So whatever I choose to meditate upon, that must be clear to ourselves. In a relaxed state and fully concentrated. Okay? So by doing that, we train ourselves into different states of consciousness. Why? In order to then generate that state of consciousness in a natural and spontaneous way. That's why we do all of that. Okay? So meditating actually becomes very, very important in the moment that we want to develop our inner qualities. In the moment that we want to shape our mind, in the moment that we want to change our inner reality. Okay? Is it easy? No. Is it impossible? No, not at all. Okay, there is one important thing to make warning. When you start meditating, you may become addicted to it. Okay, it creates addiction, which is wonderful actually. Okay, when we really start meditating more and more, we start feeling the benefits of it. Okay, but one important thing of meditation, I repeat, is we need to go deeper by choosing deeper objects of meditation. So we go deeper into as we learn more, as for example we have a more clear view of reality, we need to meditate on it deeper and deeper. Because it's a way how somehow we are educating ourselves into emotions. We need to induce ourselves to certain emotions, and then we keep ourselves in that emotion. And by that, slowly, that will come each time more and more easy, more and more natural. Okay? So this is one part of meditation, which is important. Okay? For me, the most important thing that I wanted to share today is to make the clarity that what is a meditative state, which is wonderful, which is very important, and to use meditation as a tool to familiarize ourselves with. Okay, I think this is quite clear, right? Okay. Now, there is one problem in meditation. It's not a problem, but one fact. It's not enough to meditate once. It's actually like doing physical exercise. If I want to run a marathon, is it enough to go running around the block one time? No. How often I need to train? Every day, maybe more than once a day, for a long time, until I am ready. The mind is the same. One of the main problems I see in the West regarding meditation is the lack of constancy. We like to have new things. It's like I even see in the Dharma Buddhist centers, when the teachers are coming, the lamas come to give a teaching, people ask, oh, what is the teaching? No? And if something new, oh, that's nice, let's go, and oh, the new initiation or this new practice of meditation, people always want new things. Don't need. Truly is, what's the teachings today? Oh, that, but I already received it. Have you realized it? No. So let's do it again. It's very important to understand that we need to continue it. But then here comes one point. I was talking to a friend one time, and I asked this friend, do you meditate? And this friend said, oh yes. And what meditation you do when a person, I do the meditation that Lama Ganchen taught me of self-healing with visualization and movement and so on. I said, oh, wonderful. And this person said, yeah, when I do the meditation in the morning, I feel so good for the whole day. I said, oh, how nice. So do you meditate every day? Oh no, now it has been maybe 3 months since I have not meditated. And then I start asking myself, why? Because this is something that I see happening quite often actually. People start, we feel that it's good, but then after some point somehow we stop one day, then we stop 1 week, then we stop 3 months. Okay? This is happening very often. So my question was, if meditation is good, no negative side effects, and it's quite rare nowadays to do something that don't bring any side effects, okay, is for free. Even if someone may try to sell it, it's not possible. Okay? No side effect, no cost, great benefits. Why we don't do it? Every day. I was quite making this question to myself many times. I was thinking, and finally I got to one conclusion. It's quite obvious actually. We do not meditate because we don't want. That's the main reason. Why we don't want? Because we don't know truly the benefits. We do not truly believe in it. We don't have enough faith in it. Okay? In Buddhist philosophy, we say that effort is the main cause for realizing anything. Effort means to put energy in what is positive, but is not easy. Okay? And to do it in a joyful way. Is to put effort, it means to put energy with joy in what is positive, but is not easy. Where does effort come from? Effort comes from aspiration. When we want something, when we desire for it. It's like, there's one phrase from the 6th Dalai Lama which I really like. It's really clear. The 6th Dalai Lama, he was recognized as the Dalai Lama, he was put in the throne, became the king of Tibet, but if there is something that he never liked, it was political power, and he really didn't like the monastic life. So, to make a long story short, he escaped from the monastery. He had full of girlfriends everywhere, and when the 7th Dalai Lama was recognized, the 6th was there present, basically, because he escaped away and they needed a king, okay? That's just making a long story short. We don't need to go into Tibet political history, that's something else. But what happens is that the 6th Dalai Lama, he wrote many poems, beautiful poems, and many of them were like love poems. And there are 2 poems in which he writes, he says the same phrase. And one time is for women in general, and another time is for one specific woman. And he says, if I desired enlightenment as much as I desire you, I would have already been enlightened. And in the other say, if I desired enlightenment as much as I desire a woman, I would have already been enlightened. Okay? And he was right. When we fall in love with someone, or with something, or with ourselves, who knows? Which can happen also. But normally, when we fall in love with whatever is our object of attachment, of desire, how many times a day do we think of it? One time I made this question and a friend was completely in love in that period. And a friend answered me, one time that never ends. The fact is that when we fall in love with something, we think a lot about it. Okay? And do we put energy in order to gain it? Can we do crazy things in order to get what we really want? Yes. Why? Because simply we want it. So when we want something so much, we put a lot of energy to get it. Okay? So effort comes from aspiration, desire, wish of something. Aspiration comes from faith. Faith, the description of faith, the definition of faith. Faith is the mental factor, is an aspect of the mind that believes in the existence, in the qualities, and in the functions of something. So it's to believe in the existence, in the qualities, and in the potential or the functions of something. For example, I have faith in water. Why? I believe that water exists. I believe that the water is clean, is clear, is fresh, have many qualities of the water. And I believe that the water can eliminate my thirst and can clean my body. Okay? So I believe in water. I have faith in water. So, when I am thirsty, what do I do? Where do I look for? What do I want? Water. Why do I want water? Because I believe in it. I have faith in it. Then I put effort in order to get water. Okay? If I did not believe in water, would I ever put effort to get water once I am thirsty? No. So, the reason why we don't want to meditate, or we don't want, or intellectually want, but truly not. Okay? It's not like putting our energy there. It's not like waking up in the morning and say, I need to meditate today. It's because we don't believe enough in it. Or because we don't feel the need. I can believe very much in water, but if I don't feel thirsty, I'm not going to look for it. Okay? So, 2 points. One is to develop faith in meditation. To develop faith in meditation, we need to understand that meditation is possible. That I can meditate also. Because one very important point also is that very often I see people that have faith in something positive, but lack faith in oneself. And if there is something important in Buddhism, is to have faith in ourselves. I can do it. So, is it possible to meditate? Yes. Can I meditate? Yes, I can meditate. It's something possible. Okay. What are the qualities of meditation? Is a state of peace, of calm, of pleasure, physical and mental, once we are able to reach it well. It has many functions. It's good for the body. It's good for the mind. It helps us to develop more concentration, which is how is helpful in our daily life in every aspect. And most of all, if by meditating well, we can familiarize our mind with any quality we want to develop, and this will allow us to develop such qualities. So it looks quite good, right? It's for free, no negative side effects. The problem very often is not only that we do not have enough faith in meditation itself, we don't feel truly the need. Why? Because we are simply busy with the little things of daily survival. Okay. Like, we wake up in the morning, we need to wash ourselves, we need to go to work, we are hungry, we need to eat, the food needs to be nice, and then after we eat, and we look at the news, and then there is this, and there is that, we talk to our friends, and like this go on. Who cares about eliminating selfishness, or anger, or mindfulness, or all of this? So in the moment that I will feel anxious, then maybe I want to go to meditate because I want to eliminate that anxiety. And I know that meditation helps. But if I don't feel the need to develop my inner qualities, to train myself and my mind, to shape my mind, why do I need to meditate? Okay? So, one important thing is understanding the needs that we have. That's when we were talking today in the beginning, when we said about understanding what is a healthy mind. And wishing for it, that's so important. That's why we say in Buddhism, that one of the first steps of our path is to wish for it. It's we call Nejum. Nejum, Nebarjuma, is definitive emergence. Sometimes translated as renunciation, which is not a good word actually. Is to be sure I can be free from suffering and its causes. I can develop my qualities fully. It is possible. But before getting there, wouldn't it be nice enough just to have a lot of patience and satisfactions and have a very stable mind? Not being anymore in the emotional roller coaster? That whatever, if someone talks bad about us, we already said about that. And if we have bad news about something, we're already worrying about the future. If we just look, what suffering do we have more, mental or physical? I suppose mental, right? Okay, this means we are rich, materially. Mental suffering divided into two. Mental suffering relating to present and mental suffering relating to past and future. What do we have more? We suffer more mentally for what is happening right now in this very right instant, or we suffer more for what have happened yesterday or who knows when, or for what may happen tomorrow and so on. Most of us more for past and future. That's why we almost never suffer. Mostly we re-suffer and pre-suffer. So, what happens is that, it's true. Okay? So, what happens basically is that in the moment that we look at this, truly, where should we look for the solution? Do we put effort, another question, do we put effort to eliminate our suffering? Like for example, when we feel anxiety, or where we feel sadness, or our mental suffering, do we try to do things in order to eliminate it? Yes. Everybody puts a lot of effort to try to eliminate suffering. But I will just tell one short story that for me it's important. Imagine that you are on a road, okay? It's dark. At night, no moon, new moon night, and there is a little town. Okay, the original story means you are on a hill, and then the road is going down. But we're in Holland, so. So anyhow, it's like a long road, and it's completely dark. And then on a certain point on the road, there is a light outside. Okay, like outside a house. And then as we are walking, we reach the light, and we see one man, and he's very anxious, and he's looking for something, quite desperated. And then we look to him and say, "Can I help you? What happened?" And he say, "I lost the keys of my house. I cannot go back home. And it's a big problem because I have children inside the house that I need to take care of, whatever. And I really need to go back. I don't have the keys." And he's really desperate. And we say, "Can I help you?" And he say, "Yes, please help me to look for the keys." So we start looking around everywhere. We don't find the keys. Then you say, can we look in your clothes? Maybe it's in some pocket you don't remember. We look around everywhere, we don't find the keys. Then we suddenly ask the man, where have you lost your keys? And he said, oh, I lost the keys down there. And why are you looking for the keys here? Because there is too dark. Here at least I have some light. Okay? There is no point in putting effort in a solution in the wrong place. I can have the best technique of search. If I'm searching in the wrong place, I will never find it. Okay? So, for the suffering of body, where do we need to look for solution? In the body. For the suffering of mind? In the mind. Body, body, mind, mind. Simple as that. Okay? Normally what we do when we have physical, mental suffering, we try to escape from it. We go for shopping, we drink, we smoke, we go to the cinema, we try to meet friends, I don't know, we do something to forget about our suffering. And it's not worth helping, truly. So, it's very important for us to take care of the causes of the suffering. You know? Like doctors, for example. I think it's quite a frustrating job somehow. Why? Because people come with symptoms. Doctors try to show the causes, but people are only caring about taking away the symptom. Okay? So what happened? I come with headache, and then the doctor comes and says, look, you are not eating correctly. Because you eat too much chocolate, this is not good for your kidney, whatever, your liver, and because of this you are having this headache, and so on and so on. This after a long time when the doctor is able to know that actually the person is eating chocolate and so on. Just inventing whatever, something, okay? And then what happens is that after some time, the patient, oh, but please just help me to eliminate my headache. Okay, I'm going to give you this medicine, but you must change your behavior. Otherwise it's going to come back again. Yes, yes, yes. Take the medicine, no more headache. 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 chocolate, 2 chocolates, 3 chocolates. Then headache again. Then go to the doctor again. And very often we want to deal with the symptom and not with the actual sickness. This is what we do in many aspects. So to understand that to eliminate the causes of our mental suffering, we need to eliminate insatisfaction, we need to eliminate miserliness, we need to eliminate jealousy, we need to eliminate envy, we need to eliminate anger, we need to eliminate ignorance. Is it easy? No, but it's possible. For that we need to develop the antidotes. We need to develop love, compassion, patience, stability, satisfaction, wisdom, generosity. That's why we need to meditate. So we need to make a checklist of what we want, like a wish list. What do I want for this year of 2016? I want more patience. Okay, so let's make a plan. Patience training plan. Meditate on patience 5 times a week. Good. Otherwise we'll never get there. So, if we don't feel the need to meditate, and if we do not believe in the benefits of meditation, we will never meditate. And most of us, we don't meditate because we don't feel the need. This is when we already know that it works and it's a benefit. Okay? So, actually, when we start feeling the need of meditation, this can mean 2 things. Or we are really in a very unbalanced moment, or we are going a little bit more deep in our life. These are 2 possibilities. Okay. So, I know people that are extremely well balanced emotionally, very mentally extremely healthy people, and they meditate like 10, 12 hours a day. Why? Because their objective is to develop their qualities in a deeper and deeper and stronger way. and they focus on it. And it works. The good thing is that it really works. It's like Geshe Chekawa, the great master of the 11th century. He would say, the mind is full of defects, but it has one great quality. Whatever you teach, it follows. Okay? Meditation is not a matter of religion. It's one of the most important tools that exists inside Buddhism. But it's not a matter of religion. It's a matter of training our mind in the direction we want to go. So the question is, emotionally, mentally, what do I want to be? Personally, my personal goal is to be in harmony with myself and others, independently of where I am, with whom I am, in what situation I find myself. It's my personal objective. Because I think it's a complete crazy idea to make my happiness to depend on external conditions. Because I cannot control them. And because problems will always exist. So it's how do I experience it? How do I live it? And in order to do that, I need to train myself. And with that, one other important thing of meditation, which I was almost forgetting. There is the meditative state, and then there is the post-meditative state. There is the moment when we are meditating, and then there is the moment just after meditation, between the sessions of meditation. Okay? If I meditate on patience, but then between the sessions of meditation I constantly get angry, I'm making two efforts in the opposite directions. Then I never move anywhere. It's very important then between the sessions of meditation, which means when we meditate, it can be like the post-meditative state can last a few hours, a few minutes, or it can last a few months also. Who knows? Because maybe we meditate now and then we meditate next summer. I hope before, but it can happen. But when we try to meditate in a regular way, as I was saying before, with constancy, which is very important to have real results. Not only it's important when we meditate, but between every meditation we should follow the same direction with our mind. For example, when we are not meditating, try to be aware of your own breath. Be aware of your actions. Apply the mindfulness to the daily life. And then if it is a period in which I'm meditating more on love, you need to apply this love to the daily life. Well, there is one very simple exercise that I like very much, that I'd like to share with you. On post-meditative exercise. For example, on love. We can meditate on love and generate this beautiful feeling in our heart and open our heart towards everyone. And we can do this through visualization. It's not so complicated. But then, when we are in our daily life, meeting people and looking at people, and we need to apply it. So one time, I had a very nice experience when I was in Tibet a few years ago, after a period of around 2 months of study at Gelugpa monastery. And I was only staying with my teacher, only seeing my teacher and a few monks, was not seeing almost anyone. They would bring food to my room, and I would go to the teachings. I was not really seeing anymore, almost no one. After that, when I came out, and I was in the airport, going to Beijing to go back to Italy, I was looking to everyone, and everyone looked so beautiful. All these Chinese people around. And they all looked so beautiful, so nice. And I loved them. I just wanted to hug everybody. And okay, I am Brazilian. We like hugging, but this is something else. But the fact is that I looked at people and I really felt something. And they touched me. I felt emotional. And it was so nice, actually. So when I reached Italy, I said, I want to keep this emotion. I want to keep this. But I need to train myself in it. So I start doing something, which is seeing people that I never met them before, in the road, or when I am in the supermarket, if you go to, or you go to buy something in a store or in a restaurant, it doesn't matter. You look at the person in front of you and just say to the person, I love you. Non-verbally. If you put it into actual words, it may be a little bit strange. Something else. So you don't need to go like to the restaurant and look at the waitress and say, I love you, or wherever else. Basically, you just look at the person in the eyes and inside say, I wish you to be happy. Your happiness is important for me. I love you. Simple as that. And I had beautiful experiences with it. We received so much. It gives so much joy. And there was one moment which for me was like, it marked me because it was like one example of it really working, this exercise. And I was in Brazil, maybe 1-2 years ago. Yeah, something 2-3 years ago, something like that. I have a very bad memory of time, so difficult to remember. Anyhow, I was there, and then I was in a friend's house. I came out of the house. I was waiting for the car to come out of the garage. And near to his house, there was one building which was being constructed. And there was one construction guy there with his yellow helmet. And he started staring at me. It's normal that people look at me. Look how I'm dressed, no? And wherever I go, I'm dressed like this. And it's normal that sometimes people just look. People that, more simple people, they have no problem looking. People that are a little bit more polite or something, they maybe look but not look, no? And anyhow, what happened is that I was there, and this guy started looking at me. And normally when someone is just looking at you and you look back, what happens? The person stops looking, or changes this side. But this man, he was looking at me, then I started to look at him, and he kept the eyes on me. So we were just looking at each other, looking in the eyes of each other, or maybe 5 meters away. And then I start to say to him internally, I love you, I wish you to be happy. I truly wish you to be happy. And then slowly, naturally, I start to smile, and then he started to smile back. And we stayed in love maybe for 1 minute, I don't know. It was so beautiful, so nice. So it became even a joke between friends, I fall in love with a construction worker. But it's like, at that moment I felt completely overwhelmed with joy. Completely fulfilled. By the simple fact of looking to another person and sincerely feeling, I wish you to be happy. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you come from. I don't know where you are going. I don't know what's going to happen, but I wish you to be happy. This is a way of training love when we are not meditating. Okay? We can train impermanence by observing impermanence of things and remembering it. We can train patience. We have a situation we know it's not so easy. We say, okay, today I'm going to go to that situation, but I will react with no aggressivity or violence towards it, even though I don't like it, okay. We can train in many ways. But the moment of meditation is the moment in which we really generate the strength. And we can train it more deeply. But after, we need to apply and need to follow the same direction also in the daily life. This is very important. Okay, the two things go together. So, concluding. Meditation for me is not, as I said in the beginning, it's not something we can choose like an optional. It's actually a need. Is it to train the mind positively? In order to meditate, we must first understand the benefits of meditation, and we must feel the need of meditation. Otherwise, we're not going to do it. We start meditating by generating the meditative state, meditating on our breath or whatever other object, mindfulness. But then after, we need to use this to familiarize ourselves with specific objects, which is patience, love, compassion, and so on, by inducing ourselves to that state and focusing single point on it. And this can truly transform our mind. Because we can go back to that state more and more easy after that. Okay? There is no point, it's completely useless to know how to meditate if you do not meditate. Okay. We can learn the whole theory. Beautiful. But it's like knowing how to cook and never cooking. What's the point? Okay. So even though you may not know how to meditate really well, start. Wherever we are, we need to make it. It's by meditating that we learn how to meditate better. Okay? Nobody will come and you give you a course and in 1 weekend you are a great meditator. It will never happen. It's by slowly sitting down, bringing the awareness to ourselves. One thing that is said in meditation is to bring the body and the mind to be in the same place. I am here, present in the present moment, calm down. This already brings a great benefit. And then slowly, once we are able to it, then we can start to do some analytical meditation, and then we start to do other types of meditation by generating the mind and directing it. There is also meditation with recitation, while we recite things, or like mantras, or prayers that helps to direct the mind also. There is meditation with visualization, which I didn't talk today, which is a very powerful form of meditation also. For example, if I visualize light going out of my heart and helping all sentient beings and coming back, actually I'm inducing my mind through visualization. So it's a very powerful way of meditation, to do it through visualization also. There is meditation with movement also, because then we direct the mind and the body in the same direction. And this actually helps also for meditation. There are different forms of meditation, okay? I believe there are many valid forms of meditation in different traditions. The important thing is to meditate. The important thing is to have one objective also. Who do I want to become? Which in Buddhism we say, I want to reach enlightenment, I want to be a Buddha. But in other words means I want to develop my qualities fully. I want to eliminate the defilements, the mental states that generate suffering. Simple as that. Okay? And we can do it. It's really possible to do it. So we just need to focus our myself and put energy in it. Okay? I like to end with a verse. Maybe before there are some questions. Possible? I don't know.
5 minutes, man.
Okay. Anybody have maybe time for one question? If there is, otherwise we go on. Yes, please.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about anger or feeling angry? And you talked earlier about anger towards indifference towards love. And is that important to actually eliminate anger? Because I used to think that anger can also be a force to act, to change things.
Okay.
And so not anger is not a...
Okay. First of all, what is anger? Okay. Anger is an emotion, an attitude, through which I experience a situation. I am in front of a person, an animal, a situation, an object, or even my own suffering. One thought of mine, one habit of mine, we can even speak towards our own selves. Okay? But this object, which can be a person, a place, a situation, whatever, we see it as a cause of suffering for ourselves. By entering in contact with that, we feel suffering. So we don't want to suffer. So our natural reaction is aversion. I want to take away anything that generates me suffering. So we push it back. Okay? This is not anger yet. Anger is in the moment that because I don't want that object to be there, what I do, I will generate an attitude of aggression and violence, which is I want to eliminate it, I want to destroy it, I want to put it away. And as we generate that strong feeling, we act with violence, physically, mentally, verbally. Okay? The point is that when we react with anger in this way, does it really solve the problem? By feeling angry, would the problem disappear? Or it continues there? It continues there. So the problem is that when we feel anger, how do we feel physically and mentally? Good or bad? We feel bad. The definition of mental defilement is any mental state that brings the self to a state of unpeacefulness. Anything that takes us out of the state of peace, it's a mental defilement, which is not good for us. One of the very simple ways to see if an emotion is good or bad for us is to look at the body when we feel it. When we feel anger, are we relaxed or are we tense? We're tense. So it's not good. The point, there is two things. Not having anger doesn't mean not putting energy to solve the problem. It's two different things. Okay? I believe one very important quality is to have acceptance. Acceptance means I put energy in the solution and not in the problem. Anger is the opposite. I put energy in the problem instead of putting energy in the solution. Okay? And it just generates more and more and more suffering and conflicts. So for me, when someone reacts with a lot of anger, it's like if you take a big board and you write on the side, look how ignorant I am. In order not to suffer, I suffer even more. Because we get angry because we don't want to suffer, and we end up suffering more. So it doesn't work. It's not logical. Another thing is to put energy to solve the problem. That's wonderful. But then we put energy with joy in the direction of the solution, and we don't get stuck with the problem. Another aspect of anger is directly connected with ignorance. Because most of the times we get angry not for the way how things are, but because things are not in the way how we want them to be. Okay? We suffer more because things are not the way how we want them to be than because of how things are. So what happens is this means a lack of acceptance for reality. Sometimes people say, this cannot be like this, and then we get angry. Very simple. If something is like this, it means it can. First of all. This person cannot do this. If the person does, it means he can. It's better if he doesn't do. Okay, let's think about it. Let's talk about it, how we can do to make him avoid to do this. But acceptance is very, very important, which is connected with patience. Acceptance, it means to put the energy in the solution, understanding that if something is in one way, it's because causes and conditions were created for it. It's like in the monotheistic traditions, when we ask why are things like that, and that question is because God wishes. In the Buddhist tradition, we say things are like this because causes and conditions were created. Which were the causes, which were the conditions, I don't know. But that's what it is, and what can I do about it? Let me see. Where can I interact? Where can I put my energy? So I go for the solution. I don't get stuck in the problem. Okay? So this is one. So that's why it's also so important to understand better our mind. Then we can start having the wish to change things. Okay?
In Western psychology, often it is said that you need anger to get into an action or to get out of being passive or something. Which would be the quality then that brings that energy to help you without being angry?
Strength is different than anger.
How do you
Determination is different than anger. Yeah. One thing is to have the determination. I must do it. And sometimes it even comes with strong way. It comes with strength. And determination also comes in the aspect we say, I must do that. It doesn't matter what will be in my way, I will overcome it and I will realize it. That's what we call joyful effort. And we call perseverance. That is the wish of doing something, the strong intention to realize it. That is necessary. Okay. And sometimes I may feel suffering. How come I recognize the suffering in which I am, and I say, I don't want to be into this anymore. I must get out of it. That's good. That's not anger. Anger is when I get focused on the problem and I don't look at the solution and I just try to destroy it by acting with violence. And it takes me nowhere. I try to harm, I try to destroy, and this is not good at all. Okay? But it's two different things. One thing that I really like very much to do is to try to give definition for things and to give the right names. Okay? When I studied, whenever we had a debate, because just to explain, in the studies of Buddhist philosophy that I did, we did like, okay, maybe maximum 2-3 hours of lessons every day, maximum, normally 1 hour. Some days no lesson, no teachings, maximum 2-3 hours of teachings. And we did from 3 to 6 or even more hours of debate every day. Sometimes we stayed like 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day of debating. And as we would go through the debating, one of the first things that you do in a debate, we start talking about a subject. Give me the definition. Like one day I went to Rome and the taxi driver asked me, what are you dressed like this? And I said, okay, I'm a Buddhist monk and that. I tried to explain it. He just asked me, do you guys believe in death? And then I was looking to him and I said, what do you mean by death? Give me a definition of death, then I can tell you if I believe or not, no? And he didn't like very much what I said. But I told him, if you see death as the final end of everything, I don't believe in death. If you see death as the separation of body and mind, then I believe in death. Okay? So, making definitions is very important. Anger. Is it anger good? Is it anger bad? What do you mean by anger? Define me anger, then I can tell you. It's very important for us to define things. Because very often we mix things up. And we don't know. For example, love, we do not give a definition of love. And then we mix up love with desire. And then the desire ends. We think there is no any more love there, but actually there is love. So we feel a mixed feeling and we don't know really what to do about it. Love is one thing. Love is to wish for happiness. Desire is to wish for one's own, to wish for something in order for me to be happy. In other words, I love you, I wish you to be happy. I desire you, I need you for my happiness. Okay? Just one example. To name things clearly, to define things clearly. This helps so much in life, actually. Okay? So this is just one point important. Okay? I think we can conclude. I will just make one phrase. Okay, 2 phrases that I really like and help me. Okay? The first one is a phrase that I was taught by a rabbi. His name is Rabbi okay, now I forgot his name. Anyhow, it will come. It's a very nice rabbi. I met him the first time when I was 13, when I went for a holiday from the monastery to the Brazil, and my Jewish grandmother took me to talk to the rabbi. And Nilton Bonder, his name. And then when we sat down, the first thing that he told me was, if I am I, because you are you, and if you are you, because I am not I, and you are not you. But if I am I, because I am I, and if you are you, because you are you, then we can talk. I will repeat again. He didn't repeat for me, he said only one. I'll repeat again. If I am I, because you are you, if I act in a certain way because you are there, I am not I. If you are you because I am I, you are not you. Okay? So if I am I because you are you, and if you are you because I am not I, and you are not you. But if I am I because I am I, and if you are you because you are you, then we can talk because we are sincere in the truth. In our life, always remember to be yourself for what you are. Especially if we need to relate on a middle long-term relation. anything. We don't need to be afraid in society, with friends, with family, to follow what we believe and to do and act in a way that we really think is the most beneficial one. Okay. And the last phrase, it was from a great Buddhist master called Kundan Champelian. I will say it first in Tibetan. And it says, Chego chego samni nishu song, majung samni nishu song, aka samni nishu song, tetar ngan lomor drukchulong, mi se tongpa sebe namdaring. In English it would mean something like that. Thinking of doing it, 20 years passed by. I couldn't do it, 20 years passed by. Oh, why I didn't do it, 20 years passed by. In such way, 60 years passed by. That's the biography of an empty life. Okay? We could adapt it for today and say, thinking of meditating, 20 years passed by. I couldn't meditate, 20 years passed by. Oh, why I didn't meditate, 20 years passed by. In such way, 60 years passed by. Remember that in Tibet, the normal people would live up to 60. If we add now, not thinking of it, 60 or 20 years pass by, wake up to 80, okay? So the point is that if there is anything that we truly believe it's important, such as developing our qualities such as love and satisfaction and control over our emotions, which means like directing our mind in a clear way and so on, anything that we believe is really important, do not wait tomorrow. Because tomorrow never comes. It's like in one restaurant I went when I was a kid, which outside was written very big, tomorrow beer is free. Yeah. And then you get that tomorrow and it's written yet tomorrow beer is free. You know? So, basically, if you always put things for tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, they never come. Okay? So if there's something we believe, we must do it right now. Otherwise it will never happen. Okay? Thank you very much.